You are tuned in live to Iowa Postgame here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. We are recapping what has been a fascinating and exciting week of Iowa women's basketball, with the Hawkeyes winning the Gulf Coast Showcase down in Southwest Florida. But first, before we get to the substance of the show, as always, want to take a moment to thank our sponsors. We start out with Iowa Smokehouse, an Iowa company serving you great snacks, whether it's their thick and tender cuts of beef jerky, their flavorful meat sticks, or even their tender, delicious steak bites. You'll never need to look anywhere else for snacking on game day. Visit iowasmokehouse.com and find out how tasting is believing. Use the code Hawkeyes, that's plural, Hawkeyes, at iowasmokehouse.com to receive 15% off your total order. Also want to thank Brad Van Meter and his team down at State Farm. Call Brad for a quote tomorrow. It'd be a great day to do it on Cyber Monday. Brad is located right down in Des Moines. You can call him for a quote on auto insurance. Perhaps it's renter's insurance, business insurance, even life insurance. Never too early to start thinking about life insurance. They spend countless hours taking care of their customers and making sure their customers' needs are being met on an annual basis. Give them a call for a free quote, 515-256-6480, regardless if you live in Des Moines or not. You can also visit him online at bradvanmeter.com. So the Iowa Hawkeyes with the defeat of Kansas State, the revenge game, as lots of people have coined it already. And this was a game you knew these Iowa women wanted. And you heard Kate Martin after the game bring up an obvious fact that there was no question about it. That loss a week ago against the Wildcats, without question, motivated them to come back and win tonight. Very impressive first quarter. Kansas State, we expected. That's a good Kansas State team, and we can't emphasize that enough. I think they match up really well with Iowa. We've, of course, seen that not just this year, but even last year. And they challenge Iowa defensively. But I'll tell you what, without Hannah Stolke, and, pretty good night for Caitlin Clark. I mean, she took, let me find out how many shots she took on the night. Caitlin had, disappeared my box score, jumped off the screen. 25 attempts, 16 3-point attempts, but she did score 32. And, those are better numbers than what she put up a week ago. Gabby Marshall struggled. She was 1 of 7 from the field, but really nice day from Kate Martin. Really nice performance from Molly Davis. Really good performance from Sharon Goodman. And people like Sydney Falter and Addison O'Grady stepped up. Falter didn't really give him points, but just her hustle, 3 rebounds and an assist. She just continues to be just a more of a threat on the offensive end, and has the ability to stretch the floor from behind the arc. And, they battled through foul trouble. You have Sharon Goodman today with 5 fouls. She fouls out of the game. Addison O'Grady ends up with 3 fouls. Sydney Falter had 3 fouls. And Kansas State made another push there in the fourth quarter. But Iowa holds on in spite of some iffy free throw shooting down the stretch from Iowa's star player, Caitlin Clark. Kind of a storyline to follow. She's been struggling from the free throw line this year more than ever before. We will talk about it at some point, whether it be tonight or moving forward. But obviously a lot to get to with the win. Again, Iowa Smokehouse is part of our sponsorship, part of our coverage this evening. We appreciate them. They are sponsoring a call-in line where you can actually talk to me and ask a question, make a comment, whatever the case may be. Give us a call, 515-635-1601, 515-635-1601. I'm also throwing a link if you want to join by means of StreamYard. It's simple, it's quick, it's easy. If you have a YouTube account or a Facebook account, you can sign in and log on via StreamYard with your video on or off to comment on this evening's win. Cory is in the chat, not me, different Cory. He says, hey, Cory, hope you had a great weekend. Iowa-Nebraska game was a blast, and the women's team won tonight. Iowa men's wrestling won as well, beat State, and it was I didn't get a chance to see that duel, Cory, but I heard the score, and maybe a little bit too close for comfort for Iowa fans, but that's an Iowa State program that's always going to be tough, especially at Hilton Coliseum. So appreciate you being here, Cory. Obviously, a great stretch of games. You think about the one minus was Iowa, the men, losing to Oklahoma, who ended up being the eventual champion of the Rady's Children's Invitational out in San Diego. And, of course, the men bounced back with a nice win against Seton Hall. So after a week, the week prior, where you have a loss by the Iowa women, and a loss by the Iowa men at Creighton, we get some good news this week. Real Malice is here. Good to see you here. And David is also here. A very good game for the Iowa women. Let's go to our first caller here, Iowa Postgame. It is James. Welcome to the show, James.
One sec.
While James is revamping here, want to remind everybody.
I'm back now. My bad. I was
Go ahead, James.
Sorry. First off, it's a good win, and I feel like it's something you need because obviously you lost them twice. You lost them twice in the last 2 years, so you couldn't lose them 3 times. That would be a kind of a treacherous thing.
Bad look, but that's a good team. That's a good Kansas State team. And how about this? One thing that we're not going to talk about a ton because we're talking about 3 wins in 3 days, a gutsy win over a top 15 team, top 16 team. But how about Florida Gulf Coast and how they responded today, James? You and I were talking about that team yesterday. They come back, beat North Carolina today after Iowa beat them by 40 yesterday.
And to be honest, that's a better look for Iowa now. You know what I mean? The way Iowa beat them and then the way they beat North Carolina, that makes Iowa look better now. So that's even better for us. But it was a good bounce back. And I'm going to be honest with you, too. Like, once Kansas State took the lead in the fourth quarter, I kind of was like, not again. You know what I mean? Like, once it became even if it was a 1-point lead, in my head, I was like, not again.
Well, Caitlin Clark said it best, I think, during her post-game availability when she said, hey, last time we were up on Kansas State, they made a push late in the fourth quarter, and it was all about how we responded tonight. They could have easily responded the way they did a week ago. And again, they did not have Hannah Stolke. They were dealing with foul trouble inside, but they kept it together. Lisa Bluter, really smart timeout, drew up a nice, simple ball screen for Caitlin Clark, where she loves shooting off those screens from deep, and kind of canned a 3 that ended up sealing the deal. And, Caitlin missed some free throws down the stretch. I mentioned that. She was actually, for the day, Caitlin Clark was 5 of 8 from the free throw line. Pretty low percentage for her. But, yeah, good execution down the stretch, and that's what you need in tournament play.
For sure. And I feel like, I don't know, so I was listening to it on the radio on my way back, like the last quarter. I heard the last quarter of it, obviously, and I can see the box score and kind of understand how things go from there. But anyways, what was going on with the coach situation? Like, I heard their coach was trying to yell at Bluter for something, like on the radio broadcast. They said that, or like one of the refs, she was yelling at the refs because Yoko Lee was in the paint for too long or whatever. They didn't give her 3 seconds, and Bluter was mad, and then their coach was like trying to say something at Bluter or something like that.
Well, I'll tell you something, James. Rob Brooks and his team with Learfield, I'm sure, do a fantastic job, and they do it all the time. They do it every game, so I would expect them to do a really good job. Flow Hoops is not worth $30 a month.
Yeah, well, they said, Eichel or somebody in Iowa, like media, it was either Eichel or somebody like that. They tweeted and said Jane Jensen had to hold Bluter back because she was mad because Eichel Lee.
It wasn't that bad. It was not that bad.
I just didn't know, but
it was not that bad.
But I find it funny how she got 3 seconds, like 2 possessions later. They called it on her after she said something about it. I found that funny, but
I don't know why Flow Hoops, the commentators, didn't know what was going on. Somehow the Iowa radio people did. But I will say this, Lee was camping down there a lot, and I think Lisa was frustrated, probably part of the problem is she was down her best post player in Hannah Stolke, so there's concern there. But yeah, you're right. A couple of possessions later, Lee did get called for a 3-second violation. I didn't hear anything about the Kansas State coach yelling over at Lisa Bluter. I did see him in the ear of the officials on the court during one Iowa possession, and I kind of said,
well, it was when they were shooting free. It's when I think somebody was shooting free throws for them. I mean, I'm not going to get stuck on this, but I was gonna say it was because somebody was shooting free throws for them, and they said, yeah, he was walking on the court or whatever, and like, he was like walking on the court while she's like talking to the rest or something, and they're like, oh, he's been outside the box the whole night or whatever, like about their coach.
Well, he was out of the box, but again, how much is the box respected?
Yeah.
I think officials pick and choose when to enforce it. Frankly, I think officials pick and choose when to enforce 3-second violations, and there's a number of things they pick and choose to enforce. So, yeah, I haven't seen. I'll say this: I have not seen Lisa get as upset as she did, but it was nothing like what you'd see from Fran.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Jan Jensen did hold her back, but
it's probably not like a Fran holdback though, where like 3 dudes got to be up and push Fran back because he.
No, and he was, Lisa didn't go out in the court and stare anybody down. So
yeah.
But let me go back real quick. Just side note, the the reason I brought up the Flow Hoops broadcast, I'll say this because I've just watched 3 straight days of it. They ought to be able to do better for what people are paying for that. That's my opinion, and I don't know what their baseline is, but I mean, we heard the play-by-play guy tonight, who I will, I'm not going to repeat the guy's name because, I don't have anything against him personally. At one point, he said, "Oh, this is a deafening crowd," and then they pan up, and there's nobody in the end zones, which I understand. Like, I don't expect the place to be packed. It's down in Florida, and you got a game between Iowa and Kansas State. That's just reality. But deafening.
It's like, I mean, didn't they say that about us on BTN Plus the other day, the men's game, when there was like nobody there?
BTN Plus is $9.99. You get what you pay for. This was
true. Yeah.
And the other thing is, he made a point. He made several comments that just didn't make any sense. Beginning of the fourth quarter, it was a 9-point game, and he says, well, Kansas State might have a sliver of hope here. It's like 10 minutes left. They're down 9, and they ended up coming back and taking the lead, of course. But it just wasn't. I wouldn't endorse Flow Hoops to anybody. Now, if they want to start sponsoring this show, I'd be happy to endorse the heck out of it.
You're making happy. You're making me happy. I didn't pay the $32 or whatever for it, but
Well, I'm glad I paid to watch, because these were 2 fun games these last 2 days. But I'm glad that moving forward, we don't have to watch Flow Hoops. I'll say that.
For sure. But it's good. Obviously, as I said, and a win's a win, especially against a team like that. I just didn't want to go for 3 against them, and I think that might make the mood a little bit worse too.
Oh, absolutely. And the committee, I mean, I was talking about this. I missed just the first part of the third quarter. I was in the car, and I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I just made the comment. I said, Iowa, because we're listening to the game like you were, James, and I said, Iowa loses this game. It's not devastating from a season's perspective. Like, you still only have 2 losses. This is obviously a good team they're playing, but you and I both know, as they move up the rankings, who knows how far Kansas State will move. If they had won this game today, they probably would have been top 10 tomorrow. Come March, if Iowa and Kansas State say they're both on the fringe of a 2 seed, that it's possible the committee looks at head-to-head. Very possible the committee would look at head-to-head between Iowa and Kansas State. And boy, not only did they beat them last year, but they beat them twice this year. We're absolutely giving Kansas State, we're giving them the tiebreaker. So it's good that Iowa got this one, because there leaves some doubt there. And, this is just a matchup that I don't think suits Iowa great, partially because of what Ioka Lee offers down low. But they battled, and, Caitlin Clark, I think, is challenged by their perimeter defense. But, boy, they came out guns blazing from the get-go, and that's what they needed to do. And you knew Kansas State was going to respond, but Iowa had the answers consistently.
That was the last time issue where we didn't have the response. They just kind of like punched us in the face in the fourth quarter, and we just didn't really have an answer. So that's something good to see. And another reason you want to win this game is you have 6 days off, 5 days off. You don't really want to go a 5-day, 6-day break coming off a loss. That makes it a little bit more.
You get tournament championship, and absolutely.
But it was good. It was good talking to you. And fortunately, I couldn't listen to the whole thing, but I listened to the most important part, which is the end, obviously, and a win. So Talk to you later, and I'm glad Iowa beat Iowa State in wrestling as well, because I always like beating Iowa State. It doesn't matter what sport it is, but
Well, let's hope we got a couple more wins to talk about this next week, not just
yep.
with basketball.
All right, talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks, James. All right, folks. Let's go through some stats here. The phone line is open 515-635-1601. 515-635-1601. If you want to give me a call on our Iowa Smokehouse call in line. Some stats for you. First of all, I guess we can start with our RTI Threads player of the game, and that is none other than, it's not Caitlin Clark, it's Molly Davis. Caitlin Clark, you could give her that award almost every game. She's the most important player in the country, in the sport. So, we got to be fair to an extent here. Molly Davis was really good, and she scored, I think, 11 of her first 13 points in the first, 22 minutes of the game. Had 13 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 0 turns. And when you think about Molly Davis and her lack of size, those 4 rebounds were big. She had a couple rebounds late on some Kansas State attempts inside of 2 minutes to go in the game. Just efficient basketball. I'm telling you, folks, she is playing at an all-time high from a confidence perspective at this level. Of course, people forget she was, one of the top scorers in the MAC 2 years ago. I don't know that she was the top scorer in the MAC, but she's got the ability to hit a lot of different shots from a lot of different places in the court. Her quickness is something a lot of people can't match. And I think she just took some time to kind of get acclimated to the physicality of this conference, the guard play of this conference. She seems to be picking her spots better and taking more confident shots inside. She's knocked down some threes, which has helped. On the night tonight, Molly was 1 of 2 from 3, and she doesn't need to rein it in from 3, but 5 of 9 overall from the field. And like I said, 0 turnovers for someone who's going to be handling the ball a lot. And with this lineup, that's just a tremendous number for Molly Davis. And she has less pressure when she's not just coming in to spell time for Caitlin Clark, when she can be on the floor at the same time. I think that makes them that much better. And then you have someone like Sydney Falter, who's not going to be running a point necessarily, but a Falter can come off the bench and handle. Feuerbach can come off the bench and handle. And that's obviously big. Kate Martin had a big night. 11 points for Kate, 10 boards. So could have easily given her the player of the game with a double-double. 1 assist to go along with 1 turnover. But Kate Martin was 2 of 4 from 3, 4 of 6 overall from the field. It felt like one of those nights where Kate was going to get going. If she didn't right away, she was eventually going to hit her stride. And again, a couple of big threes in this one. The shot looked confident. Sharon Goodman was 4 of 6 against a tough matchup in All-American Ioka Lee. 8 points for Sharon, 5 personal fouls, had a block, had a turnover, but added 6 boards as well. And then, let's see, Gabby Marshall was 1 of 7, struggled offensively, gave them what she gives them defensively. Caitlin Clark was 10 of 25 from the field, 7 of 16 from 3, 5 of 8 from the free throw line. Caitlin had 32 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 turnovers. Pretty good stat line from Caitlin. Again, took 25 shots, but 16 threes seems like a lot, and it is a lot. But again, overall, pretty good numbers. Sprinkled some assists and steals in there, contributing defensively, and you can live with it. I mentioned Sydney Falter, 3 rebounds for Sydney. She was just 1 and 2 from the free throw line, just had the 1 point, but she just seems to be so much better, so much more confident offensively. Didn't have a turnover tonight, and neither did Addison O'Grady. No traveling violations for Addison. Added 6 points to go along with 2 rebounds. Played a lot of defense. Took 3 personal fouls, but a lot of defense on Ioka Lee. And then Feuerbach added 3 points on a 3-point attempt. So, pretty good balance there, even though Caitlin had 32 and the next highest score was Molly with 13, but solid numbers throughout. Let's go to our next Iowa Smokehouse caller. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Who's on the line?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, John, how are you?
Sir, how are you?
Doing good after that game.
I didn't get a chance to watch it. I wasn't going to pay $30 for 3 games, so maybe we'll get to see the replay on YouTube at some point.
Yeah, I heard they had the replay for Florida Gulf Coast. They had an 8-minute live stream of the game tonight. They're just desperately, I think Flow Hoops is just desperately trying to promote the heck out of their service by putting those live streams on YouTube just to kind of tease people. But $30, it's worth it. For me, it's worth it. I'm not speaking for you, John, but those were two good games. I mean, Iowa played really solid offensive basketball. Even tonight, I mean, the numbers, 77 points may not fly off the chart at you, but they shot 38% from three, made 12 threes. They were even on rebounds in spite of the fact that Stolke was missing, and they only turned the ball over 6 times. Those are good numbers. Those turnovers, the lack of turnovers, I think was the difference tonight. They had 14 turnovers? Did they have 20 plus turnovers? I think they had 20 plus turnovers yesterday against Florida Gulf Coast, if I recall, and they won that game by 38.
Yeah, 21 is what I heard. And I thought, holy cow.
Yeah, and they had, again, just 8 tonight against Kansas State. So that was, I think, clearly an area of emphasis for Lisa Bluter and company.
Side for Florida Gulf Coast. A couple familiar names on the coaching staff. Pat Chambers is the head coach, and Andrew Francis is the assistant coach, or one of them.
For who?
The men on Florida Gulf Coast, FGCU.
Andrew
the men's
Francis.
team.
Andrew Francis is at Florida Gulf Coast.
Yeah, he went out. I looked him up. I got curious, and I looked him up to see what he was doing, and he went to California for 4 years. Each year they had a losing record. And now he's down at Florida Gulf Coast with Pat Chambers, former, wasn't he Penn State coach?
He was Penn State, and he had some, if I recall, I believe Pat Chambers had some, I don't know what, controversial stuff that ended his tenure at Penn State. Let's just say that.
I don't remember that part, but I was surprised that they were both down there.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if Fran would eventually try to get him back to Iowa. I don't know how much longer Fran's going to be at Iowa, but I did not know Andrew Francis was at Florida Gulf Coast. That's a good program, and it's a good men's and women's program.
It stepped backwards, though, from being at Iowa?
Say that again?
Isn't that kind of a step backwards from being at Iowa?
Oh, of course. But, I mean, he was at Cal. So I'm guessing that, I don't know how that works in the basketball world, but my guess is Andrew Francis went from the Iowa staff as an assistant, probably was the second or third assistant on the list to maybe being the top assistant at Cal, and then things didn't work out and they all lost their jobs, and so now he's on the rebound. That'd be my guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it just surprised me where he was.
Yeah.
Is the book, got to watch that first Florida tournament game on YouTube on a replay, and did a player shove Caitlin Clark, and then she shoved her back, and the player fell down, and they called the foul on Caitlin? Is that how that worked in that first game?
I actually saw the replay of that today, and I don't know if Flow Hoops, I was having issues with Flow Hoops, surprisingly enough, with the stream yesterday. So that must have been a part of the game I missed, because I saw the replay today, and Caitlin absolutely shoved that girl to the ground. It may have been a little bit of an acting job from the Florida Gulf Coast Guard, but I don't know what led to that. So that's a great question. But yeah, she's fortunate she didn't. She clearly shoved her to the ground. And Lisa was talking to her. So no, I'm not quite sure what happened leading up to that thing. That was yesterday.
Is that the scouting report on Caitlin now? Is get rough with her is what as much as the rest will let you do, and then get her frustrated, and then when she gets frustrated, she gets a little rattled?
Could be part of it. I think the way Kansas State play, I mean, Kansas State just has better defenders, I think, than most teams. They're able to guard her and kind of force her off her spots at times. I think tonight Iowa really used the ball screens effectively, which Iowa does in general. But, having O'Grady and Goodman out there a lot, obviously they were able to do that. And, a little bit harder when you start pulling Lee out to a situation where she's either got to commit to the 3-point shot or sink back down, and then you're giving Clark an easy three. So, Kansas State's got better on-ball defenders. If you can get, I've always said, if you can get physical with Caitlin, get physical with her. That's your best chance. But I'll give her credit as the game went on, the season went on last year. Caitlin, I thought, became much more comfortable dealing with just, the physicality of the game and physicality of tournament basketball. And she's getting better at playing through that. And I thought it affected her a little bit a week ago, but not really tonight.
Last Monday on Lisa's call-in show, I think that's where it was, I think Rob Brooks said to her, Molly Davis is really shooting that mid-range jumper really well. And Lisa said, yeah, but we don't really like that shot. We don't shoot it unless we have to. And as a coach, I would like any shot we were hitting. I couldn't. Seemed kind of strange. She said they didn't like the mid-range jumper.
Well, mid-range jumpers typically, Ben Cricky's kind of the exception to the rule because mid-range jumpers are typically pretty low percentage shots. If you're a defense, you'd much rather, your opponent shoot a bunch of mid-range shots than layups and threes, unless they're just taking stupid contested threes. But mid-range shots are lower percentage and they only count for 2. So that'd be probably the reasoning on that. But, someone like Ben Cricky for the men is so adept at making those shots that there are people who have mastered it. It's kind of a lost art in today's game.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like there's not a lot of teams that shoot that shot.
Yeah, no, there's not. Like I say, it's a lost art, but there's more on the women's side, and like I said, with Ben Cricky, it's been kind of a breath of fresh air to watch.
Well, that's all I got. Thanks, Cory.
Thanks, John. Lemansky, Gulf Coast defense versus North Carolina Hill Gulf. It's only 2 successful scores. Iowa State transfer Lexi Dinarski had only. Oh, okay. North Carolina. I got you. I'm reading that wrong. Lexi Dinarski transferred down to North Carolina, had only 2 points. Impressive stuff, man. Impressive stuff. I didn't watch that game, but Iowa put up 100 on Florida Gulf Coast yesterday. Kelly is here, late to the party. How about them Hawks? Thank you for being here, Kelly. And again, if you're just joining us, we're recapping Iowa's tournament win, their championship win. The 5th-ranked Hawkeyes beating number 16 Kansas State in kind of a get-back game, or a get-em-back game, I should say. 77-70 down in Southwest Florida. And we're here taking your calls through the rest of the evening. The number to call is 515-635-1601. 515-635-1601. If you want to call with a question or a comment, we'll be here. Before we get to our next caller, we've got Tony on hold and our line is open. We're going to hear a quick word from our sponsor. We'll be right back. More here, Iowa Postgame from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Straight from the man cave, Kinnick Under the Kitchen. Authentic, original player artwork is being drawn up for Hawkeye fans everywhere. Locally made prints of stars wearing the black and gold from the past, present, and future. How about current Hawkeye superstars Cooper DeJean and Tory Taylor? Legends of the past like Jack Campbell, Spencer Lee, and Tim Dwight. Plus future phenoms like Aaron Graves. There are so many options available. They make great gifts, and your purchase benefits the Hawkeye athletes wearing the black and gold. Visit Under the Kitchen on Facebook or at Under the Kitchen's new website. That's underthekitchen.square.site. Again, that's underthekitchen.square.site. Check out Under the Kitchen today and get your authentic, original Hawkeye print. We are back here from the Hawkeye of the Storm talking Iowa women's basketball and their 77-70 defeat of Kansas State. Let's go back to our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. Tony's making faces. Tony.
I was wondering, did you notice what I was doing? Okay, so there's been a couple of times I've called in, and you've done this to other people too, where I swear you read our mind about things that we're going to talk about. Yeah.
What did I do this time? Explain it to me.
Well, I haven't yet purchased a print from Randy and Under the Kitchen, and I wanted to make sure that you were still a partner because I'm going down, obviously, to that men's women's doubleheader. And I'm going to be staying with my sister-in-law in Altoona, and I know he's just down the road in Mitchellville.
Smart man.
So
you are a smart man.
That was one of my things tonight. Literally, was are you still doing stuff with him? And right before my call, you put his commercial.
Perhaps you can check out the man cave. He's got a pretty cool setup down in his basement. I don't know if he was featured
I've
on.
seen pictures of it and stuff like that. I think he was even in Altoona Living once or something like that. It's the little magazine or whatever they have.
Yeah, it's a cool little thing. Yeah, I know he was set up. I think he was set up today over in Marshalltown at the mall.
Yeah, I see. I follow him on Facebook, and I see his whenever he's at places. And
He's got some cool stuff, very unique stuff. It's one of those sponsorships that doesn't work anywhere else. So I appreciate him being here. And again, NIL partnerships are the best partnerships for me. It's kind of a roundabout nature. If we could build something with Brad Heinrichs and the Swarm where we can kind of feed off each other, boy, I'd be living the Hawkeye dream, I guess, to some extent.
Yeah, that'd be fun if there could be some type of collaboration there. I remember it was a long time ago when they came out with the vodka. So I have there we go. And you made fun of me because you asked me what did I mix it with. And I think that night I said I mixed it with Dr. Pepper. But tonight I actually got some zero sugar cranberry.
Walmart.
Enjoying cranberry and Swarm vodka. So
okay, well, that's better than Dr. Pepper and vodka. That just makes me want to throw up to think about.
It was the best I had, best I could do at the time.
But yeah, I could do the cranberry, lemonade or cranberry. Sure.
Now we beat State.
Yes.
In wrestling and
absolutely
basketball.
did.
I mean, we beat Kansas State, but not the state that the shirt's referring to.
Yeah.
Are you planning on going to either one of those men's or women's games in Ames?
At Wells Fargo?
No, I think they're both in Hilton, aren't they? I think they're back-to-back nights. I want to say like Wednesday, Thursday, or something like that.
Yeah. I am. I don't know which one. I don't know if just one of them, both of them. I don't know yet. But that's the plan right now. Probably the women for sure.
Okay.
I know that's kind of probably the hotter ticket, but
that's what I was going to say. Is
I've got some connections there, so hopefully get to the women's game. I'd love to be in Hilton for the men's game too. You know me, man. I love being at road games, and when they're right in your backyard, why would you not? So I'll find my way into Hilton.
I don't plan.
Maybe I could just say if they're back-to-back nights, maybe I can just hide like somewhere in Hilton, do the post-game stream from like a bathroom or like locker room or something, and then just hide in the arena. That way I don't got to pay for admission the next day. That makes sense, right?
Well, and you'd have free Wi-Fi, right? And I bet you the Wi-Fi would actually be really good after the game because everyone's out.
Yeah, I'm sure it'd be great. Sure it'd be great.
One thing that I do notice is, and I don't see it as much with the men's team, but I see it a lot with the women's team. They have a lot better entry passes, it seems, and do a lot better with those like wrap around the defender passes and getting it to the post. It seems like they're really good at making the extra pass to hit people and put them in position.
Talking about the women's game in general, or
I'm talking about our women's team. Iowa's women's team versus the Iowa men's team. I wish we'd be a little better at feeding the post, and I think the women's team does a really good job with that. With like wrapping around the defender and getting a bounce pass in, or lobbing it in, or even moving the ball around the perimeter and hitting someone wide, for a wide open three. Because a lot of those shots that weren't falling in the first half were really good shots and they were open. They just didn't fall.
You want me to respond to that?
No, go ahead.
Part of the reason why, just being honest, part of the reason why that's the case is because it's a different game. The women's game is a different game than the men's game. I mean,
it is. Yeah.
It's apples to,
I think,
Fran apples.
I think Fran's system would work because it's more free flowing, and I think you can do a lot more free flowing stuff in the women's game. There's not the bottom.
I guess what I'm saying is, I think that the size and maybe the speed and the athleticism involved with, not that there aren't great athletes on the women's side, but you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I think the speed, the size, etc. on the men's side, there's more of an emphasis on those things, on strength, on speed. Angles aren't necessarily going to cut it. Now, we did see a pretty good era with Connor McCaffrey and Luka Garza where they were able to utilize angles in the post, to the post, but you have to have the right people. And obviously, Caitlin Clark is great at feeding people the ball. And I give, people like Molly Davis credit, but it's oftentimes Caitlin Clark that, she's the one making those passes. And there's no question, Jan Jensen's coaches the post really well and teaches her bigs about angles and whatnot. Now, they missed some free throws tonight, Tony.
Yes.
They missed free throws tonight. Too many free throws. Or I shouldn't say free throws. They missed free throws. But they also missed gimmies around the rim. They missed some layups. And so, you can't be perfect.
One or two, right? I think
Yeah.
Caitlin, I know she missed at least one layup. I don't know if she missed a second one, but I know.
Well, Addison O'Grady missed 2 in the fourth quarter. I thought just were blatant misses. But again,
you could tell they wanted this game. You could tell.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
So I said I think they would have beaten North Carolina by a lot more. But there's no question this was a better game for them, especially in hindsight. They won, right? But get that monkey off their back and they can kind of move forward. I guarantee you that they still regret that loss and wish they could get that game back at Carver, but they can at least move forward and say, hey, we got them back.
Now, I guess I'm going to ask this question operating around in the assumption that I think we could all say it's pretty safe to say we think Caitlin is probably going to come back for her extra year because of the earnings potential at Iowa versus the WNBA. Is that a safe assumption to say?
I mean, I wouldn't assume anything. I would guess that's the case.
Okay.
But she has not said anything.
No, she hasn't said anything definitively. I guess what I'm getting at is I looked at the stands tonight, and I think it was a failed opportunity by the university to put together a travel package out of Cedar Rapids or Des Moines and buy up a lot of tickets and get Hawk fans down to nice warm weather over the holidays to see Caitlin Clark that some people can't see because Carver sold out or the tickets at the Wells Fargo sold out, or people who are attending both want to go see her. Now, did they even do anything like that? I don't know. I'm just asking, did they do something like that? And could something like that even be arranged through the university for this third-party type tournament?
Great question. I don't know.
They do that with bowl games, obviously,
Sure.
Wherever Iowa goes. And I'm assuming, are they doing anything travel-wise for Indy? I mean, it's not that long of a trip, Indianapolis, for the football team, but does the university put travel packages together for that?
That's a question I don't know.
Okay.
I have not heard, but just full disclosure, I'll just say this on here. I applied for media credentials for the Big Ten Championship game. I fully expect them to turn me down for a couple of reasons. One being when you read the fine print of the Big Ten Championship game media enrollment, media requests, they basically can do what they want. So my guess is an unorthodox type of media like this, where I'm not at games formally covering. That's one of the criteria they have, is that they prefer you be at all the games throughout the season, even though I'm covering all the games throughout the season, just in a totally different manner.
Yep.
But my guess is they'll turn it down. But I was just going to say that because I have not heard anything back from that yet. So I don't know when we get word on if, I'm shocked that I haven't heard. I would think by tomorrow we'll know, because you got to get.
I would say because I would bet you didn't hear because that Michigan-Ohio State game was Saturday morning.
What's that?
Well, that's another half of the team that would need to go. Are you applying through the university?
Why would they not? Hold on a second. Why would they not accept equal number of Iowa media members, equal number of Ohio State media members, and an equal number of Big Ten in general media members? I can't imagine that it would make a difference. Not Ohio State, Michigan, of course, but what would it make a difference?
What about, didn't you guys get general Big Ten passes with Mark Rogers' normal channel? Because weren't you guys?
Great question. Mark was actually denied. So he applied. That was all him. Mark was denied initially. Mark's been in the business a long time. And of course,
yeah. And he knows
he was denied, and it wasn't until he basically appealed it and called him out on social media. Then the Big Ten came back and said, okay. And that was for media day. That was for football media day at Lucas Oil Stadium on the field. We're talking about media credentials for, press box media credentials where there's limited space. So that's why I don't have high hopes on it. But I thought, you know what? Got to do that. It's my obligation to my platform to do that.
Hey, I see you put that comment up there. It looks like she went there. Barbara did. about how many people were at that brewery to watch, because I know I saw that posted on social media that there's a couple bars in Iowa City. If she can hear me, I wonder how the crowd was. You know that.
I bet she's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear about
weekend.
it till like mid-afternoon, but
yeah,
for a game like that. And then, I've only got one more. I did cancel my Flow Hoops already. They asked me for a review, which they probably should not have. And my review was that I was very disappointed that I paid for a 3-game tournament and you gave one of the games away for free. So why am I paying for a subscription when you're going to give something away for 3? 0 stars out of 10.
Well, you know what you're probably going to get back?
Oh, nothing. I'm getting
a pie in the face.
Yeah, probably.
An unedible pie in the face. I don't think they care.
So it looks like she said the crowd was good.
I was going to say real quick, I don't know. How do you watch Flow Hoops? Do you watch it? Do you stream it, or what do you do?
I'm a Apple guy, so I've got like my iPad and I've got the Apple TV and stuff like that. So
I couldnn't get my Apple TV to work with Flow Hoops. Couldn't get it to work.
Really?
Then I went over to Chromecast. Tried to Chrome because I got Chromecast and Apple TV, and it worked, but the video was glitchy. The audio and video was glitchy, so I had to end up loading it on my computer and HDMIing it into my television.
So hey, yeah, when you
frankly, you know what I might, you know what, I wouldn't have any shame at all in saying, hey, I want a discount or refund on this, because this was.
I asked for a third of my price back because you gave away one of the games I wanted and I paid for it for 3.
They're not gonna give it to us.
Oh, I know, but what's the worst they say? No, and piss off. You know, I mean, for lack of better, you know. I was just like, okay, what's the safest thing I could say here? Not, you know, what's the worst they're going to say to me? That's probably the worst they're going to say.
Worst thing I can say to you is no. I absolutely. No. You and I are thinking in the same terms.
Yeah, that's the worst thing they can say. So I did notice that there's only 8 streaming games left for the women, and 7 of the 8 are on Peacock.
Wait a minute. Let's see. When is the BTN Plus game?
There's one, and it's upcoming.
Isn't it in 21st. January or February?
No, December 21st.
That's the last women's game that's on BTN Plus?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So and I think if I'm correct in saying this, the men have a BTN Plus game late December, and then they're done on BTN Plus, which means people can cancel right after that December game if they choose.
I'm pretty sure there is just one.
Yeah.
There's just one, and it is hold on, sorry. December 29th, correct.
Okay.
So right before the end of the year.
Bond Win says, go Lady Hawks. They should have gotten Gabby Marshall more involved with the 3 balls. Well, Gabby is going to be a factor, and they're going to need her. She's either hot or she's cold. And I think it's hard to draw up plays for someone who is sort of one-dimensional, and that, you know, typically, like someone like Taylor McCabe, you know, first of all, Taylor's not playing much either right now, but Taylor has a little bit better size, or she's able to shoot over people. Gabby's undersized. She's going to give you, you know, gritty defense, but you know, we saw her finally take a 2-point shot today. She missed, but she's not a driver. She's not someone who gets to the rim. And so I agree with you, Bond, when they need to get Gabby involved more, but I think more so Gabby needs to get Gabby involved more. And that's easier said than done because of how she plays and maybe some of her limitations, but she will be important moving forward.
Okay. I think that's about all I got. Yeah, if I look, you already did that's about. Do you think Randy will do anything with, like, does he have to ask the athletes to do it? Because do the athletes get like a portion of that? Like,
yes.
How well would a Caitlin Clark print go over?
I think Randy would be comfortable with me telling you this. I think if Randy's not okay with it, sorry in advance, Randy, but
I didn't want to put you in uncomfortable. I'm sorry.
No. I think he's fine. He'd be fine with me saying he has reached out to Caitlin, and I don't believe he's been able to basically make contact. In so many words, Tony, here's the problem.
She's very big time.
Here's the problem. That'd be like me, frankly. Here, let me get a comparison. That'd be like me reaching out to Caleb Williams at USC.
Okay.
I'm an Iowa guy, but like if I had a USC podcast and I said to Caleb Williams, "Hey, I'm gonna pay you a portion of all my sponsorship deals," like he's probably gonna say, "Who cares? I'm doing commercials for Nissan and whatever else." So that's my guess. I'm not saying Caitlin. Maybe Caitlin's never even heard.
Yeah.
But gotten those messages. I don't know.
And maybe it might be something to think about more in a summer break type thing. I mean, I'm sure she goes back home sometime to West Des Moines. It's not like that's a far jaunt over to Mitchellville. Exactly.
What is Doug talking about when he says, "I think Flow Hoop wins"? What is that talking? What does that mean?
I don't know. I haven't seen anything in the chat. They must be talking about the different subscription. They must be talking about the different subscription services. Would be my guess. I have no idea.
Well, I don't. I guess I don't know what that means. But anyways,
I haven't seen anything. I know people are talking about BTN Plus and stuff like that, but I haven't. That's about the only thing I can see. So
yeah.
And I don't think Doug would have got Flow Hoops because he was gone for the first. He just got back tonight, I think, or something like that. Because
he was down in. I don't think Doug watches women's, but I don't know. Maybe he does.
I know he does, but I don't think he would have paid for the Flow Hoops because he would have missed the first 2 games. Because he only is in San Diego.
You got his schedule on the calendar behind you.
Well, no, he was down watching the. I don't have.
No, he was in San Diego. Yeah. I know.
Yeah, he was watching the men's team.
Do you have the ETA on his flight home?
I thought he told us he was coming home Saturday. I just remember this from the show.
He said he was log on to the Des Moines International Airport and see if you can find his flight back from San Diego. Post in the chat.
Okay. I can do that. No.
He says, by the way, in the chat, he says, Tony, they got our money. That's how they won. Oh, I understand. That's how they won. He says our money. So I assume that means he bought
me
it.
And you. Our. I think maybe he's meaning me and you because we're probably the 2 only people who paid $30 besides these bars. Yeah. So. Okay. Well, let's get to other callers and stuff like that. And I think, what's next men's game coming up?
They get North Florida on Wednesday.
And then
I'll be doing live stuff, probably a live show tomorrow. Be doing a live show with Mark Tuesday, probably a podcast Tuesday. There's going to be a lot coming, man. And I'm just glad that it's a quiet basketball week because you have the men on Wednesday, but with all the pregame stuff for Saturday, I know a lot of Hawk fans think Iowa has no chance against Michigan. That's fine. Can you imagine me just saying, "Well, I don't have a chance, folks. We're not going to do pregame coverage. Just forget it." So we got to cover the thing as much.
Oh yeah, I mean it's the last year of the divisions and 3 out of the last 4 or 2 out of the last 3 they've made it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They've won the West. So
2 out of the last 3. 2 out of the last 3 they made it in 15 as well. Should have made it last year, right? They don't lose to Nebraska. Week of 13 of the season there in last year, in spite of the offense, and now, they would have been 8-4, and in the Big Ten championship game with that offense.
What does it look like bowl picture wise for them?
Somebody texted me today. I got a friend down in the Tampa area, and he texted me and said, "Hey, you coming down if they go to the Citrus Bowl?" I said, "Well, I didn't even know they were in the conversation for the Citrus Bowl." He saw some projection where Iowa was projected to play Mississippi State in the Citrus Bowl in Orlando. So assuming they lose to Michigan or Ohio State, it's probably going to be something like the Citrus would be my guess. I don't know what maybe they get Outback. Maybe they would get Outback. It'd be nice to win the Citrus since they didn't win it 2 years ago.
But that still is the bowl that probably provides us with our best bowl memory in 2005, right?
Right. Capital One Bowl back then, but yes.
Because isn't that the same?
Yeah. Yep. That's the same bowl game.
Absolutely.
Church to Warren Holloway.
So, okay. Thanks, Cory. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tony.
Yep. Have a good day.
For Tony, Doug says he's home, so you don't got to worry about him anymore, Tony. Okay. Let's before we get to our next caller. Again, our number is 515-635-1601. 515-635-1601 to talk Iowa women's basketball. Yes, the Hawkeyes are champions of the Gulf Coast Showcase Championship. Our RTI Threads player of the game was Molly Davis. 13 points, 4 assists, and 4 rebounds, 0 turnovers. And the women played clean basketball tonight, which is something they've not done much this year. Frankly, they score a ton of points, but they turn the ball over in the making. Now, this game was played at a slightly different pace. Kansas State likes to slow things down, kind of turn it into a slop fest. Iowa scored 27 points in the first quarter, though, which means Kansas State held them to 50 in the final 30 minutes of the game. But again, for the game, Iowa played very clean basketball and turned the ball over just 6 times. They were plus 6 in turnovers. And that's a recipe for success against a team that, again, is going to slow you down, is going to hit threes, is going to make you earn everything from the line. If you can avoid those stupid, painful turnovers, especially like what we saw, was it yesterday from Florida Gulf Coast, they were just shooting themselves in the foot time and time and time again on these illegal screens. Just dumb offensive fouls at bad times, over the back fouls that mean nothing. Iowa's had some bugaboos with that over the last few weeks. So credit to everybody, including Molly Davis, for playing clean basketball. And of course, RTI Threads is a big part of our sponsorship, our coverage. I've got the CD3 Laces Up apparel on, as I always do for the show. Cooper DeJean apparel at cd3lacesup.com. And how about the Aaron Gravedigger Graves uniform, jersey, merchandise, whatever you want to call it? All of his apparel, all of his merch available at rtithreads.com. And you can also check out new lines for Carson Shire, Aiden Hall, Zach Lutmer, Hawkeye football stars of the future. And my guess is RTI Threads. They're just going to continue to expand, helping a lot of Iowa athletes, pairing with a lot of Iowa athletes. Great company, great products. Check it out, rtithreads.com. All right, let's go to our next Iowa Smokehouse caller. We go to Ryan, who is on hold. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Hi, Cory. How are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great. How are you, Ryan?
I'm really happy. I'm very happy.
I know you. Can you tell me how happy you are, Ryan?
Pretty damn happy. I mean, Kansas State has been a problem, and we were without our, in my opinion, our second best player, and we won by 7. So I'm very, very happy, Cory.
Doug, real quick, got to get the super chat in, Ryan. Doug says, sorry, women's basketball fans, football question. I know you're not a big gambler. Thoughts on minus 23 over under 34.5? I think they're pretty good numbers, Doug. That's my 2 cents. I do appreciate the super chat. Hard to predict, though, when you talk about those types of numbers against an Iowa defense, but over under is pretty accurate. Go ahead, Ryan.
It's a shame you're like, I don't really get you, Cory, sometimes. I love you, but you're a Jim Harbaugh fan. I don't get that. He's a cheater. He's a bad person. And
what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I'm messing with you completely because you love Jim Harbaugh.
I do?
Yeah, I thought you do. I'm kidding. Okay.
Kelly says you have been celebrating. How'd you celebrate this evening, Ryan?
Well, Kansas State's been a problem, and baby, we did it. You know, I had to watch it on online, pretend that I'm going to subscribe, but it was a good game. It was a good game, and thank God we won. Thank God for Molly Davis today, who I absolutely agree is your player of the game. She was amazing today.
She sure was, and plays within herself, and in spite of her size, really. I mean, I hate even saying that in spite of her size, but she's like 5'6". I mean, she is really, really
Right.
short, and she finds a way to find open space and is efficient with the basketball. And if you talk about how do you replace someone like Monica Sonano, you don't. But if you can play well in the fast break and take care of the basketball, which they've not done all the time, 2 weeks into the year. But if they can do that moving forward, they can beat anybody, even without Monica Sonano, without tremendous post play, because they do have excellent vision, excellent passers on this team, and people who can at least make layups usually.
And I think Lisa Bluder's playing the quote unquote positionless basketball. Worry a little bit less about, your quote unquote position as opposed to putting the best five on the court. And so from that, I guess I can definitely respect that. We still have Addie and Sharon that can hold on that post. And I think we can go 8, 9 deep on this team, especially with Taylor showing, what she did yesterday. I think this team can go 8, 9 deep, and we're gonna do some surprising things this year. We got to get Hannah back. I think she's still, the closest thing to Monica that we had as far as, the big who scores a lot. So,
Real quick, I got a question for you, Ryan.
yes.
I always see the beer sign in the back, or I'm sorry, the bar sign behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a beer guy? Are you a whiskey guy? Are you triple sec? Are you chugging
Truth
down?
truth be told, I like Miller Lite, but I do not touch hard liquor. I don't. I have some, whiskey upstairs only for guests. It's probably been in my house for 10 years. I don't touch it. I do like Miller Lite, and I like water, and I love my drink of choice is honestly Minute Maid zero sugared lemonade.
There you go. It's just straight up zero sugar lemonade.
Well, I love that stuff, and I work out every day, and a good it's a good thing. Um, yeah, I work out
You work out all the time.
7 days a week. Yes,
You're just a maniac in the gym.
my home gym. Yes.
Sounds good, Ryan. I got nothing else to ask you. You do light beer and you work out 7 days a week. So what else is there to ask?
Well, what's our final record going to be? I thought we were excellent tonight. I thought we were absolutely excellent tonight. Caitlin is Caitlin. The thing that I love and still am concerned about is who's number 2, number 3 option on this team. I still think Hannah is number 2 on this team, and maybe Kate. But Sharon looked good tonight. Addie plays tough. I think she needs a few more minutes. But what are your thoughts about that?
I think Addie plays well when she's in the right frame of mind. It's hard for me to guess what's going on upstairs. I think sometimes I do think she struggles with confidence at times. And the last thing, I think she's very fragile. She appears to be very fragile. And if I'm wrong on that, I hope she proves me wrong. But it seems like if she misses a layup or, commits a turnover, a dumb foul, maybe it snowballs a little bit for her. I think Sharon Goodman has really improved as the years went on. They're going to need Hannah Stolke, though. Stolke's going to be needed, and they got to get her healthy. I saw she had a wrap during the trophy game or trophy celebration. They had a wrap around that right ankle of Hannah's. I don't know what that's an indication of. She didn't have a boot on, but she had a wrap, so we'll see. I mean, they're going to get some time off here.
Last thing I'm going to leave you with, Cory, is I've been an Iowa basketball fan for about 42 years, about the same as football. Call it, 1981 to 82. This is the first year that I long for a women's basketball game over a men's. And I don't mean that as a knock on the men's side. It's just, obviously, you got, the greatest women's player who ever played women's basketball of all time happens to be a Hawkeye. And I know that's a big, big thing. On the men's side, I'm struggling a little bit. I love them. I will watch every game, but I think NIT is about our ceiling right now. I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. But women's basketball is where it's at right now, and I'm all in. Thanks, Cory.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. Thank you, sir. Ryan bringing it, as always. Ryan, you are the man. You are the man, Ryan. Bring it every time.
I'm on camera again.
Rock on, brother. Have a great night.
Rock on, brother.
Love it. All right. Appreciate everybody being here. Please hit that like button, folks, if you're just joining us. Man, I guess we got to get Ryan on here more often because we had 264. We have 264 people watching now. I think we had like 200 when he came on the air. So apparently people want more of Ryan, more of celebratory Ryan. Scott in the chat says, heard there were words between the coaches and no handshake after the game. Well, I wouldn't know because Flow Hoops commentators don't know what's going on. I didn't see anything about that. I did see the Kansas State coach was out on the court at a couple of different points in the game. Lisa Bluter did have to be mildly restrained by one of her assistants, Jan Jensen, during the game. There were no technicals handed down, but there was clearly some frustration. And I think the crowd, the Iowa fans that were there, were definitely loud. And when I made the comment that it was not deafening in there, it's a arena that's got like 4,000 or 5,000 people. Don't call it deafening, but I'm sure the Iowa fans were loud, and clearly it was a pro-Iowa crowd. I think we knew that was going to be the case, and they're basically going to get a pro-Iowa crowd almost everywhere, except with, the exception probably being more so Blue Bloods. When they come on the road to Iowa State, I don't think it's going to be a pro-Iowa crowd because there's a lot of passionate Iowa State women's basketball fans as well. But I didn't hear anything about the no handshake after the game. That would seem odd to me, Scott. But different situation with winning a championship, and I don't know what Kansas State, what they decided to do. But I know a lot of happy Hawkeyes during that trophy celebration. Ryan Johnson wants to know any news regarding Hannah Stulke. Nothing official other than what I just said a second ago. I did see her after the game, told she was day-to-day yesterday. She had that right ankle wrapped during the trophy celebration today. So, read into that if you must, but they get some time off now. They'll get Bowling Green on Saturday, December 2nd. If I'm Iowa, I am not playing her until the Cyhawk game on the 6th. I don't care if she's even close to 100%. The last thing you want her to do is tweak that ankle. So you can basically rest her for the next week and a half. And if you count back to when she got hurt on Friday, that's almost 2 full weeks of recovery. So rest her against Bowling Green. They should be able to beat the Falcons without her. I'll look real quick to see what Bowling Green has been doing. I don't think they're anything great out of the Mid-American. Currently, Bowling Green is 4-1 overall with wins over. They did beat Xavier. Okay. I don't know anything about Xavier women's basketball, but they did beat Xavier. Lost to Texas State by 26. But again, beat Xavier. So, we'll see. But Iowa should be able to take care of business at home in front of a very pro-Iowa crowd next Saturday, kind of the early bird to the Big Ten Championship game in Indy. They moved that game up to 12:30 p.m. Central Time for the tip-off inside Carver. So we'll see about Hannah's availability. I hope they don't play her until the Cyhawk game. Pete, I think there might be a little bit of sarcasm in Pete's comment. Probably, maybe. I think he's maybe a little bit frustrated with what I had to say these last couple of days about not resting the starters more. Well, obviously, Pete, I don't want them to rest starters when they're in a close game. When you're up 40, yes, rest your starters. Very simple. Very, very simple. Rest your starters when you're up 40. I don't think that's a real controversial statement to make, but I could be wrong. Art Dog, the picture of Kobe. He says, I thought the Iowa subs played great in the last few games. How do you think they played today? Again, didn't put up a ton of numbers. The bench as a whole, let me find the final stats here. The bench as a whole for Iowa this evening scored just 10 points. Addison O'Grady had 6 of those. McCabe went scoreless. Ediger went scoreless in just 2 minutes. Afalter had 1 point. Feuerbach had 3. So, no, they didn't get a ton from the bench. But, again, the bench is a little bit shorter with Hannah Stulke out. And that means, you're starting, Molly Davis, Sharon Goodman, Clark, Marshall, and Martin. But they got enough out of them tonight, and not a tremendous offensive performance as a whole. 77 points on, 43% shooting. But they did the 42% shooting, 38% from three, but it got the job done. And yeah, they are playing better. I really like what Sydney Falter is bringing to this team. I thought she was at times last year kind of a liability. I will give her credit. On the offensive end, she played within herself, kind of played her role, never forced shots, really didn't take many shots. And all of a sudden this year she's shooting and she's making shots. And she's not taking a ton. I mean, tonight she had 3 field goal attempts, didn't make any of them tonight, but that's, that has been the exception to the rule, exception to the norm. She's been really good in general. And I was just going to grab her stats here just to kind of give people an idea of that improvement that I'm talking about. Let me see if I can find her stats here. Sydney Falter, so far this year, averaging 7 boards a game, 6.3 points, and averaging approximately 21 minutes per game. So she's basically doubled her minutes played. So you can expect that with the departure of McKenna Warnock. And, of course, even Monica Sonano helps out a lot. Her being gone just opens up more minutes for somebody. But she's shooting 56% from the field. She didn't shoot bad last year at 48%, but 56% from the field. She's finally taking over half a 3 a game. You say that's not much, but she shot 1/10 of a 3 per game last year. Really not much confident at all in that 3-point shot. She shot 21% from 3 last year, 17% from 3 the year before that. She's shooting 44.4% from 3 this year. So again, combine that with 7 total rebounds per game. She had averaged 2.4 in her first 2 years at Iowa. She's averaging 1.6 assists per game, 1.6 steals per game. Those are huge bumps. I mean, obviously, you play more minutes, you're going to have an opportunity to score more points and produce more stats. But man, I like what she's given to this team. She is underrated. I'll just say that she is underrated right now with these ladies, and she's really helping them out. Lisa says she wants me in Hilton for a live stream. I think Hilton might have some problem with that, but like I said, if I could hang out in Hilton the night of the women's basketball game and just sleep there and stay there for the men's game the next day, I would do that. Don't tempt me on that, Lisa. I would take you up on that if I could. Brandon says 7,000 people there. Okay. Yesterday, I think I saw the announced crowd was 4,000. No, actually, according to what I'm looking at, according to ESPN, Brandon, there were 3,000 people there. I'm looking at that right now. The game tonight, the announced crowd was 3,007. That's what I'm seeing. Let's look at the official box score. The NCAA box score will be official. 3,007. 3,007. No, there were not 7,000 people there, according to the box score. Carrie, thank you for the comment, Carrie. Hawkeyes did great tonight against a tough team. Happy there is a break for them to rest up. I think they need to play Taylor McCabe more. My friend was saying the same thing this evening, Carrie. Same thing. Where is Taylor McCabe? She made 6 threes yesterday. They'll work her into the system. She benefited from some extra time, extra run yesterday, but I agree. They'll probably look back at the tape and say, hey, we probably could have gotten Taylor a few more minutes. She's going to play more and more as her career goes on. Michael, yes, Kansas State playing with a lot of confidence, and that's what makes this win particularly good. They caught Kansas State on a winning streak and still managed to find a way to win. And so it's a good tournament win against a solid couple of teams. Lonnie says, for all of those who bought Big Ten tournament tickets last year, tomorrow at 10 a.m., you're getting a text to get on the pre-order list. Don't forget, let's keep Minneapolis Carver North. Absolutely. And boy, that's I forget that the tournament is up in is it up in Minneapolis again this year? I knew it was last year. That's not a long drive from Ames either. So yeah, we got a lot of great stuff over the next few months for Iowa women's basketball fans and Iowa men's basketball fans. Again, Iowa, the women defeating Kansas State 77-70. I want to give you a rundown of the stats as well as a final look at some of the big results across the sport today. And if there's any more calls, we'll give one final holler out to our callers, our Iowa Smokehouse callers, 515-635-1601. Again, our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line is 515-635-1601, or you can click the link in the description below. I want to thank our sponsors. One last time, Brad Van Meter and his team down at State Farm. Call him for a free quote, perhaps tomorrow. Cyber Monday, everybody's going to be thinking about saving money tomorrow, so call Brad and see how he can save you money on insurance, auto insurance, life insurance, renter's insurance, and the like. 3 fully licensed team members with Brad helping you navigate through the complex insurance world. State Farm is the largest auto insurance company in the nation. Give them a call, 515-256-6480 or online at bradvanmeter.com. Also want to thank Iowa Smokehouse. They are a local company down in Albia area, the Albia-Tumwa area. Check them out at iowasmokehouse.com. Tasting is believing. Use the code Hawkeyes for 15% off your order. They've got their products in all the big grocery stores, convenience stores, etc., but you can get a special deal through our code, the code Hawkeyes at iowasmokehouse.com. And get this, folks, they'll deliver it for free to your doorstep if you put in an order of $50 or more. Why not do that? This stuff keeps for a long, long time. All right. These meats keep for a long, long time. They also have salsas, barbecue sauces, ketchups, and more. Lots of unique items. It all tastes great. Tasting is believing with Iowa Smokehouse. And one final shout out to RTI Threads. I mentioned the Cooper DeJean apparel. Check it out at cd3lacesup.com. You get your It Was Not a Fair Catch shirt. That I don't think that moniker is going anywhere for a while. I don't think Kirk Ferentz wants it to go anywhere for a while. You can also check out the Aaron Graves merch line, the Carson Shire merch line, the Aiden Hall merch line, and the Zach Lutmer merch line. A lot of small town kids in there, some of which Cooper DeJean, Aaron Graves already making names for themselves. Carson Shire beginning that process, and Aiden Hall, Zach Lutmer, the future of the Iowa defense. Check it all out at rtithreads.com. We appreciate RTI Threads and all of our sponsors for another great post-game edition. All right, final comments here in the chat. Last call, final call on the phone line. The number is on the bottom of your screen. The number is 515-635-1601. 515-635-1601. The Iowa women defeating Kansas State 77-70 behind a strong performance from Caitlin Clark and Molly Davis, along with Kate Martin. Some official stats for you. I did not throw those up the bottom of the screen. I'll read through some official stats for the evening. Again, Clark with 32 total points, 10 of 25 shooting, 7 of 16 from 3, and 5 of 8 from the free throw line. I'm guessing she'll be in the gym when she hits Iowa City here tomorrow and getting some shots up, some free throws up before next Saturday when they return to Carver to play Bowling Green. She also added 5 rebounds, had 6 assists and just 2 turnovers, along with 3 steals for the Naismith winner. Gabby Marshall was 1 of 7 from the field, had 3 points. Sydney Falter played just close to 15 minutes, was 0 for 3 from the field, had 1 point, but added 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and a steal, no turnovers. Sharon Goodman played about 18 minutes, 4 of 6 from the field, was solid in the paint against a really tough matchup in Ioka Lee. Goodman had 8 points and 6 rebounds. She did get charged, I believe, for 5 personal fouls, fouled out of this game. But again, 4 of 6 efficient on the offensive end. Speaking of efficiency, Molly Davis, another good night for her. 5 of 9 from the field, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. 13 points for Molly. She was our RTI Threads player of the game. 4 rebounds, along with 4 assists and a steal. Addison O'Grady played just over 14 minutes, was 0 of 3 from the field, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, had 6 points. She had 3. Am I reading this right? Okay, 2 rebounds. I'm sorry. Looking at the wrong line here. I thought Addison had a few more rebounds. 2 rebounds on the night for Addison with 6 points. And she did get whistled for 3 fouls, but managed to close things out for the Hawks inside. Kylie Feuerbach played 8 minutes, had 3 points, was perfect from 3, 1 of 1. AJ Edgar chipped in a minute and a half of play, and Taylor McCabe played just under 3 minutes and did not make a shot, did not record any other stats in this game. But overall, maybe I missed Kate Martin. 11 points, 10 boards for Kate on 4 of 6 shooting and 2 of 4 from outside, along with an assist, a turnover, and a steal. The Hawkeyes shot 42.2% from the field for the game. Shot 38% from 3, made 12 of them. That's a pretty good number. Held Kansas State to 50% shooting, 36% from outside, made 8 threes, and Kansas State did out rebound Iowa 36-35, but Iowa competed well on the glass without Hannah Stuelke. The Hawkeyes, of course, got off to a big lead in the first quarter. They're up 27-15 at the end of one. Kansas State outscored the Hawkeyes 23-12 in the second, and then it was a back-and-forth affair in the second half. But Iowa played very clean basketball comparative to what we've seen so far, that up-tempo style. Turned the ball over just 6 times. They were +6 on turnovers against Kansas State. Iowa won on fast breaks, 6-0. Kansas State, they were +7 off their bench, got more production from the Wildcat bench, and very even on points from turnovers. But again, Iowa kept Kansas State low because they didn't turn the ball over much and cough it up. Just 7 points off turnovers for Kansas State. The Hawkeyes will return to the hardwood next Saturday against Bowling Green. That game will be on FS1. That's Saturday, December 2nd, Carver Hawkeye Arena. It's Kids Day inside Carver, 12:30 p.m. Central Time on FS1. And I'll be here. I'll be here talking about it, recapping the game. As long as the Big Ten Network the Big Ten Conference doesn't call me and say, hey, we got your credentials for the game. I doubt that will happen, but it is what it is. Tony, thank you for the compliment. Always appreciate you being here. Thank you for being a part of the show. Chad, thank you for the compliment for being here as well. If I missed your comment earlier, I do apologize. Everybody that was here, I appreciate it. Lisa, thank you for being here. And absolutely, we are fortunate to be able to have a great week of Hawkeye athletics, and especially weekend of Hawkeye athletics. Lonnie, thank you for the super chat. Lonnie, thanks for a great job. Corey, do appreciate that, Lonnie. And again, I'll be back next Saturday, but I'll be back throughout the week, folks. Keep it locked right here. If you're not subscribed, be sure to do so. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button on your way out. And lots of postseason coverage coming, folks, because we've got football this week with the Big Ten Championship game. Then we got bowl prep. Sponsor the channel. Reach out to me from the Eye of the Storm at Outlook.com. There are also advertising options in place from the Eye of the Storm at Outlook.com. You can also donate to the channel. You see that at the bottom ticker. There are links to PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. Whatever you can do is appreciated. There's also a credit card link. If you click on the PayPal link, it'll take you to a site where you can donate by credit card. But again, sponsorship helps immensely. You can follow me at From the Hawkeye on Twitter and Instagram, From the Hawkeye of the Storm on Facebook. Be sure to share the show out on social media. Tell your friends about it. If you enjoy the coverage, I'm confident, I'm sure your Hawkeye buddies will enjoy it as well. If you want to become a premium subscriber, click join next to the channel name here on YouTube. You can also shop Amazon with us. There's a link to our Amazon store. Do your normal shopping and use our link, and a small portion of the proceeds will be actually beneficial to this channel. So thank you all for being here. Good night as the Iowa women's basketball team wins the Gulf Coast Showcase Championship. Keep it locked right here for football coverage leading up to the Big Ten Championship game and basketball coverage moving forward throughout the months of November, December, all the way until March Madness. We'll talk to you soon.